So hi everyone, welcome to NiceTalk, the crypto show by NiceHash, where we feature expert commentary from around the industry. My name is Joe, and I'm Chief Marketing Officer at NiceHash. Joining me from the NiceHash team is Marko Tarman today, who is our mining hardware expert. And today we're excited to welcome the team from Ergo. So we have Alex Chepurnoy, Joseph Armeanio, and Mark Glasgow joining us today. So you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do at Ergo?
All right, so I'm Alexander Chepurnoy, core developer and one of the guys who designed the protocol. Also, I'm R&D fellow at IHK still, but not doing papers for a long time already to the moment. And so previously I was co-developer of NXT, the first pure proof-of-stake cryptocurrency. Right, ironically, and also was co-founder of smartcontract.com, which was pivoted into Chainlink then, but I left before that pivoting point. And thanks for inviting us to the show.
I'm Joseph Armeanio, and I'm the business developer with the Ergo Foundation. I help handle the points of business that require centralization and legal counterparties to expand the network, try to represent the community and grow the adoption of what Ergo is putting together.
Hi, I'm Mark Glasgow. I actually started as a community member about 7 months ago, when I was finishing up my computer science degree. I started reading about Ergo, liked what I read, and seeing some gaps that needed filled. And I'm starting up the subreddit and a few resource sites, and I've been working away ever since.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about what is Ergo from a newcomer's perspective, someone who's like brand new? How would you describe it to someone?
What Joe is asking is, how would you describe Ergo, what Ergo is?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second. It would probably depend who I was describing it to, mostly, but for people that want to develop on Ergo, it allows some unique applications, and there's still a lot of room to grow. And for the more consumer, I'd probably go back to the manifesto. It's one of the only cryptos that kind of sticks true to those principles these days. So I'd probably explain it that way, that it's going back to the roots of crypto, trying to do things right with a research approach.
Okay, cool. Alexander, maybe a question for you. What would be like, what users would use Ergo? Is there like a niche for Ergo users, or is something that should be widely used? What's the main objective of Ergo?
All right, so I think the first wave would be about cryptocurrency users, people who love proof of work cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, but maybe dissatisfied with slow development of applications on top of Bitcoin. Right, so people who love cryptography and DeFi freaks, maybe specific ones. Then I think our niche is about digital natives, right? Like NFT artists. So it seems we already have some artists doing NFTs on Ergo. Then I think it's also about strong communities around the globe. So there are already applications in development such as Ergoland to help communities to get low interest loans, and then me personally and some other developers in the community also interested about community currencies and local exchange trading systems, all that stuff. So I think eventually we will get some popularity around struggling communities around the globe.
Yeah, I must say I'm using Ergo. I like it, so I really hope it catches on.
Yeah, it's a cool project with many features.
So maybe about the thing I really... Okay, Joe?
I was just saying it's a great project with many features. Maybe you can start with telling us a bit more about how it actually started. And I'm aware you were involved with IOHK and the Cardano project, which is proof of stake. So what was the original Ergo? How did you move to a proof of work?
All right, so even more, as I said, I was a co-developer of NXT, which was the first pure proof of stake cryptocurrency. Right, so Peercoin wasn't pure, so it was a hybrid, and NXT was the first proof of stake. Somehow, maybe because of that, I got into love with proof of work, right? Because some things are simpler. And also, back in 2014-15, there were a lot of discussions whether proof of stake can be secure at all. So I can point at discussions about nothing at stake and so on. So when we started to design Ergo back in 2016, still we didn't have good enough proof of stake protocols. I know about the very first iterations on Ouroboros. They were not published yet, and we are not efficient at all. Still, proof of work is much simpler, right? So its security guarantees also much well understood, and also proof of work allows to build light clients in more efficient ways. For example, in Ergo, we are using Nipopos protocol to support very light clients, right? And SPV mode is also mostly about proof of work still. Right, then because of that, you have simpler relays on other chains, right? So with proof of work, Ethereum and other relays are simpler. Still not efficient enough, but they're doable at least. In contrast with proof of stake blockchains. And also, in regards with some engineering work, like P2P layer protection, so proof of stake also gives some advantages to developers in order to protect from spam attacks and so on. There are a lot of advantages of proof of work. Now we also have very solid proof of stake protocols such as Ouroboros used in Cardano, and Algorand stuff is also verified and good. So proof of stake is catching up. But still, there are some unique properties for proof of work blockchains.
Okay, since we're on this topic, can you tell us more about the first algorithm you used? I didn't even know Ergo, to be honest, before you were using proof of work. I think there was another algorithm.
No, it was proof of work since day one, and it was Autolykos. So in testing networks, we used Equihash, but it was around 2017. So even late versions of the testnets were about Autolykos. the current algorithm, more or less.
And you have something that's quite unique on your platform, where you also have storage fees. So how does that work? How do you incorporate that into the proof of work?
How do we incorporate what? Sorry.
The storage fees. That's quite a unique concept.
Yeah, so actually there are discussions about storage rent in the Ethereum community, and they're happening for the long time. So the idea behind is that, for Bitcoin as well as for Litecoin, so many, if not most of UTXOs are not economically attractive to be spent, right? And a lot of outputs are forgotten also. Then we have always growing state, right? And the state, so the UTXO set is very critical for blockchain scalability. So in Ethereum, the problem is even worse. So they have ever-growing set of accounts, including smart contracts, and they're much heavier. So it's good to enforce to clean them, right? And then storage rent is a natural solution. So in Ergo, it works like that's every 4 years. If an output is untouched, then miner has a right to recreate the output with a little bit of ergs to be taken, right? And there are if there are no enough ergs to be paid, then miner is simply destroying the output. And the storage rent is not that big, but also it's enough to destroy the dust, which is also been collecting in the Ergos UTXOs.
Okay, so the dust you're talking about, is this UTXO, or what exactly is UTXO? Maybe Mark or Armeanio, can you answer that? What is UTXO? Most of our users probably don't understand what UTXO is. Armeanio, I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
when you have miners that collectively hit a block, the rewards are distributed, and when you have a large set of miners, oftentimes you have that block broken down into what is called dust, which is essentially fractionalized erg, or I guess whatever chain you're mining. And generally in mining pools, what you'll have is a certain withdrawal fee, where you have to mine and build a certain amount before it's economically beneficial to withdraw that to an account. Now, a secondary aspect is sometimes you spend erg and you create an output that is uneconomic. Let's say I'm going to send Alex, 0.99999 ergs, and I have 1 erg. Well, the return that I receive has no economic value because it's not high enough to meet the threshold of the fee that the network requires. So if you play that out over time, what happens is you have these minuscule transactions that build and carry, they require space. When you're talking about distributing computing, the storage requirements are important, because if a chain storage grows too quickly, Marco, the miner, may not have the requirements to carry that load. And so over time, the ability to keep the chain light and efficient is going to benefit every miner and kind of keep us away from the Solana situation, where you have a massive, growth in the actual memory requirements of the chain, where, in my opinion, if you have P2P money, P2P network, and nobody can, support the requirements of the network, it's not very efficient in a distributed network. It naturally is going to centralize and become a data center.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
effectively
having
becomes blocked.
the ability to, and the truth is, I understand users are used to free storage, but more often than not, they're the product. You know, they're the thing that's being sold in that situation. So having a blockchain that doesn't have quote unquote free storage indefinitely, I think is it's beneficial, not only that it solves a certain centralization problem that these networks run into, but it also encourages economic activity.
So this could be like a charge. You pay $1 for 99 cents for a cup of coffee, and you just leave the 1 cent to the shop.
Kind of. You know, if you have a small enough amount of change that it's no longer beneficial to transact with, it gets recycled. You know, a storage rent is in essence recycling fractionalized UTXOs that get too small to use. Now, it also is not charged like per transaction. It's a delayed period to where if you're an active user, realistically you only need to send one transaction, because in UTXO the unspent output comes back to you. So you could send 0.00 whatever the fee is, and your entire UTXO is going to move in one transaction, and then you're set for a period of years. So it's not as aggressive as it sounds. Having storage rent kind of gives people the impression that they're going to have like a regular charge. It's over a period of years, and the benefit of it is that tokens aren't lost, which over time, if you play out like the burn rate of UTXO dust on Bitcoin, I think the last I looked into it, it was been a while. You have a ton of value that is just gone.
Yeah, and let's mention the miners who are all gonna benefit from that. Imagine like distributing the bitcoins to miners, the lost bitcoins the past 6 years, for example.
Yeah, and it sets up a paradigm. A lot of people ask the question, what happens when Bitcoin is all mined, right? How does the network sustain itself? Well, Ergo is a renewable resource, to where this, dust from both mining and from transactions is going to be continually available to miners to incentivize mining.
I guess we should need a service like for keeping Ergo for hodlers. Do not burn your coins.
Think I would be surprised if in the future you didn't have something built into wallets that naturally, created a transfer once every X amount of, time to prevent that.
Yeah, and storage rent is not about miners taking the whole UTXO. So if you are holding, for example, 10k ERCs, then every 4 years you will pay about 0.12 ERC. Per 4 years, right? So it's not big at all.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, but it's for one output. So yeah, I'm assuming that all of your 10k are in one UTXO, right? And that UTXO is standard, so it has no tokens or complex scripts, right? Because that fee, the storage rent fee, is depends on number of bytes an UTXO is taken, right? So if you have a large UTXO, in bytes, then you are paying more.
Yes,
so it
sounds like a very sustainable solution.
Yeah, storage rate essentially, so it's pretty much like you are paying for cloud storage, right?
Great. So let's talk a bit about some of the other features of what makes Ergo unique. So can you tell us a bit more about NFTs and smart contracts? So everyone is talking about NFTs. We saw you guys have done some really cool ones with the ergonomes. So these are really cool. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about the process of creation on Ergo and about your marketplace you have.
Yeah, the process is pretty simple. They can go to Ergo Utils and mint an artwork, and you can send it straight to the auction house from that website, or you can send it independently from your wallet to start an auction. But the auction house is actually getting a revamp with the version 2 contracts in the final review right now. So you'll be able to get royalties and some other features added. So I see a lot of people coming towards the NFTs and Ergo in the coming months, especially since it's so cheap comparatively to F and others.
Maybe just for our users, where can they buy NFTs on Ergo? Is there a exchange or something?
Yeah, it's on the Ergo auction house, so it's just ergoauctions.org.
Okay.
And there's also ergnomes.io, and they do drops every few months. I think there's one coming up pretty soon.
Cool. I've got another question about smart contracts. How do these work on Ergo? Do you support them? Maybe Alexander.
So smart contracts in the UTXO model. A little bit tricky if you are looking on them after Ethereum, right? So every output has a contract, and this contract is locking just one output, right? Then on top of this Bitcoin UTXO model, we are building a more complex model. We are extending the context. So, for example, you can require that spending transaction must recreate a box, an output with the same contract, right? And also you can ask for other conditions to be met. And by this, you can actually have smart contracts pretty much like in Ethereum. So we have algorithmic stable coin. Already working for many months. We have DEX, decentralized exchange in beta, also working, and so on. So it seems we can do the same applications, but in different way. And I believe in many ways. Such contracts in the extended UTXO model are better for blockchain scalability solutions, and also for simplicity of contracts, because I believe that this DeFi on top of Ethereum is overly complex usually, right, which is leading to some hacks or some exploits like flash loan attacks and so on, right? So, with complexity, you are getting a lot of problems. So this simpler model may be unusual for developers coming from Ethereum and so on, but it pays out. To the moment, I can't recall any hacks in deployed contracts on Ergo, for example.
I think one way to look at the difference is to change it from smart contracts. I like the phrase multi-stage contracts in UTXO, to where you have a series of transactions that kind of create a staircase where you have transaction 1 that may execute part of the contract, and then step 2, step 3, step 4. And the beauty of that is because it's laid out in kind of a linear stage, is the computational cost can be estimated. You don't have the Ethereum style contract where you're running all of the logic on chain, and then depending on how congested the network is, it may or may not cost you a lot, and depending on what you pay, it may or may not get done quickly.
And yeah, and also smart contracts on Ergo, more like smart money, right? Smart coins. So you're creating a coin, and yeah, you bind it to a contract, and such a contract can be very complex in some cases. So well, in Bitcoin, so there are some proposals like check template verify, which is about doing well, much more limited things. So Ergo is extending context of UTXO execution to provide well, rich contractual capabilities. Right, so it's proven with applications already built and running on top of the blockchain.
So I noticed another feature that's very interesting, and while we're talking about the smart contracts and transactions, is privacy features. So you have the Ergo mixer. Can you tell us a bit more about what this is?
All right, so Ergo Mixer is the first non-interactive mixer, I believe. Right, so before the Ergo Mixer, so there were two approaches to privacy. So first is that you have Bitcoin, like other non-private cryptocurrency, and then you are using mixers. Right, and to use mixers, you need to use some off-chain service, right, which is usually trusted, right, which is already pretty bad. And yeah, there were many real-life issues about this. Then, yeah, it's much easier to track off-chain services, well, network interactions with them, and so on. Another option is to use private cryptocurrencies like Zcash or Monero, which do provide some well, security guarantees, right? So in case of Zcash, well, in the best case, you are mixing with all the users of shielded address, right? And well, Ergo is about something in between Ergo Mixer. I mean, so this is about you working only with the blockchain, right? And so you are using only blockchain, right, and some program working with the blockchain. So no need to use any off-chain services, no need to trust anyone, right? You just trust the open source codes of the Ergo Mixer. You can check. And then you are using only blockchain, and you are mixing with other users of the Ergo Mixer. Right, and it provides much better privacy than in case of Bitcoin mixers.
Is this something incorporated in every transaction, or do you have to like use the mixer on a separate? You have to use the mixer, or is it automatically used? When you
no, so it's a separate application, right? So per se, Ergo is not a private coin, right? So there is no privacy in the core level because we are targeting smart contracts, and well, in the case of smart contracts, you are usually need for transparency, right? So not for privacy. Yeah. Right, in many cases. So, for example, if this is about crowdfunding or loan platform or any application using cryptation and so on, so you need for transparency, right? How the data obtained. Right, so you can use some very complex cryptography maybe, but it's not quite there usually, or not efficient, or very new. So, well, it's better to wait for 5 years for it to be proven, and so on. Right. In getting back to the Ergo Mixer, it's on the application level, so you are free to use it or not. Right. So you are mixing then with Ergo Mixer users only. Right. So not all the users of Ergo. And it's non-interactive, and it's also based on very simple cryptography. No ZK snarks or stuff like that, right? So just ordinary Sigma protocols from 90s. So it's very well tested.
Yeah. Just the next thing I wanted to ask is what exactly is Sigma protocol? Because I saw it on your website. You mentioned it, but I have no idea what Sigma protocol is.
Right, so it's a class of zero-knowledge protocols to prove some statements. Usually in regards of the exponents of elliptic curve points. Let's say.
So basically, it's just like a cryptographic way of hiding, of mixing the transactions.
Not necessarily. So, for example, Schnorr Signature, right, which is coming to Bitcoin, so it's Sigma protocol also, right? So it's kind of protocol which can be run interactively or turned out into signature. So in case of Schnorr Signature. Right, and it's proving that you are knowing some secret, right? Some secret value, so your private key. And similarly, there are other protocols. For example, you can present two public keys and prove that their private keys are equal. So this protocol is also used in the Ergo. And the exciting thing is that you can combine different Sigma protocols via AND or conjectures or threshold. So, for example, you can prove statements like I know knowledge or present me knowledge of secret corresponding to this public key or another public key or public key number 3 and public key number 4. Right. So you can build complex statements, and that's how you can do cryptographic protocols on the application level, and that's how Ergo Mixer is done actually. So Ergo Mixer is done as kind of simple 1 out of 2 ring signature, and also using proof of quality of 2 secrets. But also there is Schnorr protocol, for example, right? So Schnorr Signature. So this is also quite old cryptography from 90s. It's not any new stuff. So we are avoiding new stuff. So better to wait for years for things like ZK snarks or many pairing-based cryptography constructions to be proven, in my opinion. So it's better to use.
Better to go with tried and tested. So is that related to Sigma USD? Is that based on the same?
So Sigma USD is not about Sigma protocol. So just Ergo community loves Sigma letter. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, if any of our users want to read about Schnorr signatures, we actually have a guide about this.
So another name of Sigma protocols, by the way, is generalized Schnorr proofs. And so the Schnorr signature was the first Sigma protocol, and Schnorr actually didn't know that it was a Sigma protocol back then. So the generalization appeared a bit later. But Schnorr signature is kind of non-interactive Sigma protocol also.
Cool. So you're going to tell us a bit more about telling us a bit more about the hackathons that you organize. So you talk about using tried and tested Sigma protocols, using things that you know work. So what is the hackathons about? Is this about finding developers, or is it finding bugs? What's the main goal for this?
I think the main goal was kind of to build up our developer pathways and documentation, which they've helped massively in, and also to pull people into Ergo and start teaching them about it. But we've had loads of great submissions the past two hackathons, and I think most of them have kept on building afterwards. So we've got the raffle from the last one is probably the most successful, which is just about to launch with a new user interface, which I think will be quite popular. Yeah, it's just about pulling people into the hackathons and setting up our pathways for developers to get in the future.
Let's move it to mining. Can you tell us more about Autolykos algorithm? Like, why does it have 4 gig of VRAM requirement? Is it similar to Dagger Hashimoto or NiceHash? Like, I saw it's more memory intensive because also the NVIDIA's LHR is blocking it. And as I know, they're blocking the memory.
So no miners here, so I don't know much about LHR blocking, unfortunately. So Autolykos is a modification of the original Equihash algorithm, but also it used a lot of tweaks to avoid precomputations and so on. Right, and it's much more memory intensive, and it's based on a little bit different problem. So Equihash is based on GBP, generalized build-day problem, and Equihash is based on K-sum problem, but both of them are mentioned in the original paper. Right, and so parameters were chosen initially based on feedback on Zcash, Equihash implementation, and then we had talks with different people in mining hardware development, so some guys developing ASICs and also doing audits for algorithms and so on. And initially, there was also non-outsourceability component in it, and it was switched off with a hard fork. Almost 1 year ago. But proof of work part is more or less the same, just some tweaks were eliminated. It's not similar to Dagger Hashimoto or Procol, so it's different. And let's see how it goes to the moment. It's working more or less well, as far as I'm understanding from miners' feedback.
Yeah, it's a very popular algorithm to mine. So one of the interesting questions would be, when Ethereum goes to the proof of stake, so I have such a large community of mining on Ethereum, how do you think that will affect Ergo and Autolykos in terms of, let's say, a lot of hash rate is going to move and it moves to Ergo? How do you see that affecting the network? Will it be beneficial and make it more decentralized and grow the network, make it stronger and more secure?
I think Mark, go ahead, please. Not too much of me.
Maybe Armeanio or Mark. You can go.
I'm happy to go. Just my thoughts. I think it will come in. I don't think it will come at once. I think it will come in drips and drabs over the next few months as people kind of see what else is out there, while Ergo's more profitable. I think it's a good thing overall because most people that read about Erg tend to like it. So the more faces we get reading about Erg, I think the better we'll do in the long run.
Yeah, I think we'll end up picking up some of the mining share as miners migrate from ETH. One thing that Ergo does offer is there are other tools that miners can run that offer certain incentives. You have oracles that are being built on our network in time. You'll have bridges, you'll have different dApps. So, not only is there the base revenue for mining and transaction fees, there's also other potential ways to earn Erg that, are being built, and some that probably haven't even been discovered yet.
I think currently Ergo is the second most profitable coin for GPU mining, or at least it's holding up there somewhere, very close to the top.
Yeah, we've added a lot.
Yeah, it jumps
we've added a lot of pools in the last couple of months, so I think that our network is set up to where that hash rate will get distributed and keep the security pretty solid.
Yeah, maybe I think to mention that NiceHash didn't decide to implement Ergo in our miner just because it would pose a threat to 51 attacks on the blockchain. So we're still waiting for the network hash rate to increase so we can finally add it to NiceHash miner. Another question would be, do you have any plans to move from proof of work to proof of stake? I mean, that's quite popular now with all the Ethereum.
Yeah, but
stuff.
we don't plan. So the plan is to stick with proof of work. And so recently I heard that even Zuko mentioned that Zcash can be switched to proof of stake, which sounds pretty confusing to me because I believe in proof of stake setting. If you have staking, right? Maybe it's about some privacy leaks, right? To be added. In result, but I'm not sure, but yeah, it's very tricky thing, right? To add proof of stake to a privacy coin. So I don't know. So yeah, it seems there is a trend, but in case of Ergo, so many parts of the protocol bound to proof of work, and it's would be hard to switch. And in general, we don't like forks and such changes. They are basically changing everything, right? So you are just saying your miners, well, guys, goodbye. But
thanks for supporting us.
But I mean. That's so if we are talking about decentralization, right? This sounds very absurd, right? So I mean, miners are very important players, right, in the protocol. So if we are talking about original design, some ideal design of proof of work cryptocurrency, right, which is not evolving at all because it's ideal, then it's all about miners after all, right? So only miners making decisions. So in the real world, when we have evolving code base, so the developers have a lot of power, right? But to dismiss all the miners, it's about way too much power than should be in the hands of developers, right?
Yeah, then it becomes very centralized very quickly.
And so in regards with Ethereum, so in case of Ethereum going pause, maybe we will have another Ethereum Classic even. So who knows? Let's see how it goes. So no one knows, but I wouldn't be surprised to see another Ethereum Classic.
I think Joe has another question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so that stands that you're going to be quite popular with miners for the next few years, for sure. So what plans do you have for the future in terms of, from what we've heard from Ergo, it's a great project. So what things do you have coming in the future to bring more awareness to Ergo?
Do you want to go, Armeanio? No, okay. We've been discussing over the past few weeks with this incorporation of the Ergo Foundation, and that's starting to become a reality. So we're planning on launching a new kind of branding campaign, kind of solidify the message of what Ergo's about, what the Ergo Foundation is about, how it's decentralized. So we'll be working on that the next few weeks and trying to bring it more to like the common person instead of just developers, which is mostly who's using it just now and people that know developers. But with apps like the raffle and the new raffle UI and the new wallets coming out, will be a lot more accessible for the ordinary person. So the plan is to just start getting out to them and start a new brand campaign with the new EF logo.
Yeah, I would say the two aspects of growth are marketing and market access. I think both of those have an opportunity to both attract users that already exist in the cryptocurrency space and people that perhaps might be new. You know, on the market side, we're in the process of building bridges to other networks, which you may see Erg and something like Uniswap or PancakeSwap or all the different other food swaps out there, and growing in terms of market listings that will assist in building awareness for users in the space itself. I think as we do external marketing and kind of create the vision of the tooling we're building and what we want to create and the change we want to impact, I think there will be people that are outside the crypto space that will see that and say, wow, it's quite interesting. When you stay true to the principles of decentralization, I think that's a powerful thing. And, first principles more and more and more are not the focus of users. I think bringing that back into kind of the core message of what we're trying to build has a lot of value.
Definitely, yeah.
I look forward to follow you guys. I really do. I think Ergo is a good project.
All right, and so as a co-developer, I can say that no radical changes planned. So there will be one soft fork, but mostly invisible to end users. So it's mostly about changing some execution details in the scripting engine, and it will be a soft fork. So there are some things which are supported by the protocol, but not in the reference client yet. So we are working on it. So we are always working on optimizing the client, so to have it. To make it more efficient. And so recently I came out with maybe a controversial proposal to think about long-term crypto economic security and maybe even soft fork emission curve to have the same total emission but prolonged. So currently emission is to be ended in 8 years, so I'm proposing to prolong it. I made previously some controversial proposals as well, and then if they are not welcomed by the community, so I stopped to propose them. Let's see how it goes. So it depends on the community, and we welcome miners to join the discussions on that. Because it affects miners also, right, a lot. And that's it. So mostly evolutionary changes and soft forks planned. So nothing breaking. And so we also currently studying different side chain, commit chain, Plasma, Rollup, Hydra, state channels, and so on, constructions, right? To think how side chains and other constructions can be implemented on top of the Ergo blockchain, and what's needed in the core. So what can we do, and what can we do better in comparison with other blockchains in regards with supporting all those technologies.
You also mentioned earlier a new wallets. So something right now your desktop wallet is a little not so user friendly. You mentioned a new one is coming. Is that right?
Currently, we have a wallet that's being developed by a developer in our community that is available on Android phone. I know that is being ported to JVM and may show up on iOS and desktop. We also have Via Wallet that users can use. The downside to that particular wallet is it only supports native assets. So if you have anything beyond Erg, that might not be a wise choice. And also we have support from Uroi, which is a product of Ergo. Kind of works both in the Cardano ecosystem and in the Ergo ecosystem. That's under continuous development. I think that will show up on mobile eventually, and will be optimized to work well with all of the dApps and the Ergo ecosystem.
What I'm missing is like a Bitcoin Core wallet, or maybe there's a Raven Core wallet. I'm missing some wallet for dashboard for like Windows PC. That's something that I would like to see.
Yeah, we the developer that built the Android mobile wallet is that's on his roadmap to build a newer desktop implementation that should be pretty miner friendly.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we look forward to that.
I think there's actually another couple wallets in development. Sorry. There's a Minotaur who are working on a multi-platform wallet. I think it's JavaScript based. And then there's Crypta wallet who are working on one, but that's not public yet. And I think there's a few other people that are planning to bring out wallets in the near future as well. So there should be lots of options in a few months, I think.
Cool. Great to hear. Perhaps you can share some links afterwards, and we'll drop them under the show, so users can find different places where you can use wallets and different platforms you have. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us today, guys. It was really interesting to hear about Ergo. I hope our users have enjoyed listening about this fascinating project too, with a great potential and definitely miner friendly for the future. So that's all we've got time for today. Remember, if you haven't tried mining, go to nicehash.com. We've got different mining software. Quick Miner is great for beginners. NiceHash Miner is good for advanced users with algorithm switching. So make sure you go and take a look after this show. And that's it for today. Thanks all for coming, and we'll see you next time.